Yeah.
Sir,
Ah, I,
thank you so much, sir. Dr. Amit
Yes.
Sahni sir has joined and people have joined again.
can you up?
So
I'm
we
uploading my
can begin the
presentation.
session. I was also uploading your presentation. It's okay. I have done it, sir. It's
Please.
ready.
Okay, thank you. Thank you
Yes,
so
sir.
much.
It's ready. It's okay.
Sure.
संजय जी को बोलो ज्वाइन करें बोलिए.
So I was talking of the strategic approach in the repertory. So we are aware that there are different schools of thoughts in the repertory. A strategy is required. We must develop a proper strategy, one that has a clear sense of direction and purpose towards a specific outcome within a particular context. The strategy should be result oriented. Now, the object of the repertory is to arrive at the simillimum, and the rational use of this tool implies that it is used in a proper manner. Many a time it does happens that the mechanical repertorization of the case leads to nowhere. So developing a strategy is a rational approach to repertory. Furthermore, a proper strategy will guide decision making in terms of how, what, when, why to use. And moreover, the strategic thinking helps to pull in the direction of towards a common set of goals. Strategic thinking involves stepping back from our own organization so that we can view it in a way that helps to understand what is important now and what you need to do to make it successful in the future. We do have our own set of ideas, and sometimes our prejudice will dominate. They will dominate our choice of the medicine. But thinking strategically, thinking logically, analytically, they will help us to step back and achieve that context of Dr. Henneman that he mentions in aphorism 6 of Organon, being an unprejudiced observer. So that is the key thing in our strategy, being unprejudiced, so that we can arrive at the simillimum without any pre-framed ideas. A proper utilization of the resource at hand is also one of the key points of developing a good strategy. And this is very essential for planning a proper facility management. So developing a strategy involves giving a clear, shared sense of direction, and this enables everyone to pull mind in the same direction. Now this means that our journey will be much smoother and easier to manage with reaching towards a definitive goal. So now the question arises, why we have to develop a strategy? I think the reasons will be to be result oriented. Now that is our prime objective for the prime objective. Now we need to search a simillimum. We need to address specific issues, to take responsibilities to bring about the change. So there are different approaches. Various types of repertories have evolved in order to meet the need of the physician. The quest is still going on. We just heard Dr. Frederick saying of a new edition of the synthesis coming up. So thinking strategically will help us arrive at the simillimum. Sorry. So let us discuss the simple step process of developing a strategy. The preparations to set up for success, understanding the current situation, where to go, that is fixing our target, establishing a strategic framework, and implementing the framework. In repertorial context, I'll say that this will essentially involve selection of a proper repertorial approach. Moreover, selection of a proper repertory. and above all, a thematic understanding of the patient. This strategy of having a thematic understanding of the patient, where the patient is not reflected through his fragmentary symptoms, but he is reflected through a theme. He is represented as a whole. So that is the approach of the repertory that is intended for. And we will go on with this objective, we will go on with this framework, we will go on with this strategy of finding out the correct approach. Now, repertory is a confluent approach to Materia Medica. We have repertories based on different types of Materia Medica. For some of them, the construction plans are varied. In some repertories, the symptoms are put in different languages and themes. Some incorporate only proved and clinical symptoms. The repertory is in fact an attempt, a unified approach to make available the Materia Medica at a single point. So the repertory serves a purpose, a meeting platform, a platform where the Materia Medica can be utilized. The vastness of the Materia Medica, its diversity, prompted Dr. Hahnemann to the idea of a repertory. I take this moment to put up a line in the need of repertory for our practice. My grandfather, Dr. B. Sahni, he used to say that repertory is a ship in which the vast ocean of Materia Medica can be crossed. Now that explains the essence of the repertory in our daily practice. There is a diverse placement of the symptoms in the Materia Medica. Symptoms are there in fragments. Sometimes they are lacking in features and intensity. Some of them are not fully proved. Clinical confirmations may be required in some of them. And of course, there is a varied grading of confidence. Moreover, the fragmentary symptoms from the patients do not point to the theme of the patient. To understand the patient as a unit, we have to understand the man in the disease. Only elementary understanding of the disease while ignoring the man is not sufficient for homeopathic prescribing. We need to understand the man. Now, it is the man for whom we are going to prescribe, and it is of utmost importance to realize the man, to understand the man, and thereafter prescribe a medicine for him. These small symptoms, these fragmentary symptoms, they are alone not sufficient for prescribing. Now, this unifying concept of man is also well reflected in the magnum opus, Organon of Medicine, in aphorism number 147, where it is written that among those medicines whose human conditions the alternating power has been investigated, the medicine whose observed symptoms are most similar to the totality of symptoms of a given natural disease will and must be the most fitting, the most certain homeopathic remedy. In this medicine is found the specificum for this case. The likely remedy can be only one that covers the totality. But of course, in the further aphorisms, he says it should not be a numerical totality. It should not be like the symptoms of the disease and the symptoms of the medicines, they are covering each other like a triangle with equal sides and equal angles. He has mentioned this in the Organon of Medicine. So the totality should not be just a numerical totality. It should be a conceptual totality of the man, and we need to evolve our repertory. We need to work on our repertory in this direction. We need to work on the theme of the patient rather. Next. So we are talking of the evolution of the repertory. Thoughts of repertory were seeded in 1805 itself. In this work of Dr. Hahnemann, the book Fragmenta de Viribus, this exemplifies the first idea of a proper repertory. Now then we have an instinct into the thought process of Dr. Hahnemann. We understand it through his writings. In the preface of the Materia Medica Pura, he mentions to jot down all the possible medicines against our symptoms. So that was one of the initial understandings of the Materia Medica, initial concepts of the Materia Medica. Now then we have the Bonninghausen's therapeutic pocketbook. It was universally accepted book of a time. Then we have Boger-Bonninghausen characteristic repertory, which is another improvement upon the Bonninghausen's concept. This was followed by the Kent repertory, which comes with a unique way of presentation and a quite different philosophical background. Finally, we have the synthesis repertory by Dr. Frederick. We are privileged to have Dr. Frederick with us today. So all these repertories with different plans and philosophical approaches were made to have strategic and effective selection of the medicine. But still, all these repertories were having different viewpoints. A consensus was not there. The art of repertorization lies in reconciling and getting the benefit of one or more viewpoints presented in each repertory. Depending on the nature of the case before us and the characteristic symptomatology, we have been able to observe and elicit. So it is not just reconciling the symptoms, putting it back together, and coming back to the totality. It is the conceptual totality that we are talking of, and repertory since its inception. We have got two basic diversions, two basic philosophical approaches to the repertory. We have diversions in the form of generals to particulars and particulars to generals. The concept of giving more importance to the general symptoms was the ground plan of the Kent repertory. On the other hand, Bonninghausen's repertory emphasizes on the importance of the particular symptoms. So we had two opposite plan of actions. We had two opposite philosophies, and different repertories were based on these different philosophies. We had improvements upon the philosophies, we had improvement upon the repertories, the structure of the repertories, but basically we had two different approaches. Now, Kent, he says that life is represented in a unified feature of the mind, body, and spirit. We have to stress upon the man. It is, for us, it is the man which is most important. And Kent also favors this in his writings. He says the man is prior to the organs, and the home in which he lives is his body. What is expressed in parts is always preceded by a deviation in the state of health of the person. Such a deviation can only be known through expressions at the general level. So for understanding the man, for understanding this, the man in our patient, we have different ideas of the classification of the symptoms. We have to make classifications and evaluation of the symptoms. The symptoms of the patient needs to be evaluated so that its place in the repertorial analysis, it seems justified. Symptoms have been evaluated in different ways by different authors, but the essence will remain the same. We have divided the symptoms, we have analyzed the symptoms in the form of characteristic particulars, in the form of the general physical symptoms, the pathological ones, the causative symptoms, and of course the coverage of the miasm. In one of his articles, I'll read out the name of the article, A Critical View of the Value of the Symptoms. This was an article by Dr. Bonninghausen. He writes that the value of the symptoms in the totality is far more important than the diagnosis. No, so value of the symptoms is far more important than the diagnosis. This is what Dr. Bonninghausen is writing in one of his articles. So we understand that the symptoms are more valued aspect in arriving at the totality. And definitely the hierarchical pattern in all the methods of evaluation of the symptoms, whether it be the Kentian approach, whether it be the Bonninghausen's approach, or even the approach of Dr. Borick and other authors, they have given more importance to the man, the physician, the quiz. They have been given more importance. Simillimum should be a thematic representation of the patient. Now, I have been talking of the theme of the patient, the conceptual image of the patient. So simillimum is not necessarily the numerical representations. The medicine needs to be tuned with the theme, life theme, keeping the essence of each repertory intact and unifying them to have a desired selection. So that was the approach of Dr. Henneman also. So he viewed life principles to be working harmoniously, following definite thematic pattern that was unique for each individuals. And if you recall aphorism 9, he says that the healthy condition of the man is a spiritual vital force, the autocracy, the dynamis that animates the material body and rules with unbounded sway, retains all the parts of the organism in admirable, harmonious, vital operations as regards both sensation and function, so that our indwelling, reason-gifted mind can freely employ this living, healthy instrument for the higher purpose of our existence. So Henneman is also asking us to read the diseased vital force, and I read the diseased vital force. So it is the symptoms which are being reflected through the diseased vital force, which will help us to form the concept of the patient. So the symptoms that are reflected through the diseased vital force will help us to form the concept of this patient, and this is how we can form the conceptual image of the patient and ultimately arrive at the simillimum. So the next one, please. Yes. So we have different approaches to different repertories, but our goal remains the same: the search for the indicated medicine. That is our goal. We need to remain focused. We need to remain attentive and rational in our approach. Only our logical approach, our rational approach will lead us to the simillimum. Although there are different paths, although there are different ways, we can reach the simillimum through through following a logical aspect, through following a logical approach. Now, the elements of the strategy building. One of the key elements of the strategy building will be coming up with the informations, and in his lesser writings, Dr. Bonninghausen, he says, for sure selection of the right remedy, the most plain and definite information is necessary, and it should always be particularly mentioned what was the patient's disposition when well and how it changed through his disease. Now, Dr. Bonninghausen, he followed the Henneman's pursuit of speaking about the man as a whole, neither his parts nor his organs. Thus we see in his philosophy that he has generalized, and he has generalized only to get the thematic pattern of life. So that was the purpose of generalization. So we are doing all this, the different approaches of the different authors. We are seeing it. So the primary objective, it remains the same, and that primary objective is the search for the simillimum. So now the question remains, practically whom to go with. So whether we should go for the Bonninghausen's approach, or the Kantian approach, or the Boger's approach. The strength of the various different methodological approaches have traditionally led to a prevailing wisdom, which stimulates that certain types of cases are best suited to certain methods and repertories. We have this idea prevailing among us that there are cases where the generals are well reflected, where particulars are dominant. We have different repertories for different circumstances. So which repertory to use for which type of case, for which type of circumstances, that remains the strategical, that remains the key element, one of the important elements of developing a strategy. There is a prevailing dogma that one method is more appropriate for one condition, the other method is more appropriate for the other condition. Now we need to get above this dogma. So can't we go for a single repertory which is appropriate for all circumstances, one that is good enough for all situations, one which has incorporated the goodness of all repertories? Yes, I am talking of an integrated approach in repertorization, an inclusive approach where one has the freedom to choose. This inclusive approach does have one significant conceptual advantage over the exclusive one. It is very close to the Hahnemannian concept of totality. When Hahnemann talks of totality of symptoms, he neither means that is the arithmetic sum, but he's talking of a conceptual whole covering the generalized aspect of the symptoms. In short, he's talking of the intuitive grasp. He's talking of the intuitive grasp of the symptoms and their integrity. Now, the second point says its flexibility allows for creation of a virtually infinite variety of complete symptoms. The symptoms here are arranged in such a way, assembled in such a way that they reflect the inner essence or point to out the peculiar, the common characteristic symptoms of the case in hand. They follow the similar pattern in respect to the sensations and modalities. A similar medicine has to be matched representing the same thematic pattern. So now let me introduce you to the synthetic approach. So synthesis repertory is one such platform which favors this concept of inclusiveness. It favors acceptance and openness towards applications of the rubrics. I've been using this synthesis repertory for quite a long time, and I can give you some of the ideas about this repertory. Synthesis repertory, it has restructured and streamlined many rubrics. Many of the rubrics have been reorganized and placed in a more appropriate manner. We see rubrics of the desires and aversions of the food, moving to the generalities chapter under the rubrics food and drinks, from the original position of the stomach chapter in the Kent's repertory. So likewise, there has been many reorganizations, many restructuring, and this restructuring all has been done in a very logical way, in a very acceptable way. So there have been many restructuring, but in the initial editions of this synthesis repertory, the mind and the drink chapter has been untouched. So the idea of completing the symptoms using elements of location, sensation, modalities, and concomitants, it was first put up by Dr. Bonninghausen. This idea has been replicated in other repertories that followed, including the Kent's repertory, the Bogart's repertory. The elementary idea remains the same, that is to represent the patient in his individuality. So that is most important aspect of the individuality, of the completeness of the symptoms. So a complete symptoms must represent the patient as an individual, must represent the patient as an entity, as a unit, rather than having small fragmentary informations. It needs to be connected. There has to be a unifying concept, a unifying thread between the symptoms. And this will give the individuality to the patient. And this is the individuality that we need to find out, that we need to correlate in the repertory. The rubrics in the Kent repertory are more specific for patient's condition. The specificity of the Kentian rubrics can, in most situations, be recreated from Bonninghausen's therapeutic pocketbook. The Bonninghausen's remedies, since the remedies in the Kentian rubrics are nearly always contained in the larger Bonninghausen rubrics. What I have found in many of the rubrics, and in fact, it is a fact that many of the informations in the Kent repertory, they can be backtraced to the Bonninghausen's repertory. We can backtrace the information in the Kent repertory and we'll find the symptoms, they can be backtraced to the Bonninghausen's repertory. So we need a practical repertory. The one which has practical approach, and we have got meaningful rubrics. The symptoms, they need to be split into meaningful bits. Example, cough, loose, and exercise and warm room aggravate. This one symptom was split into two rubrics in the synthesis repertory. You can see it in two places. Cough, loose, exercise. This was one rubric. And the second one was cough, loose, warm room on going into a. So informations can be broken down so that it can be used. It can be used meaningfully, and when required, both of them can be joined together. Both of them can be used together to give a meaningful approach to the symptoms. So breaking the symptoms into small units should not change the meaning of the repertory, and that will be one of the key features of any good repertory. And I think Key Synthesis has maintained this practical approach where the symptoms, when reunited, they reflect the original meaning of the symptoms. And the best part of it is it can be backtraced. The informations can be backtraced to one of the authentic materia medicas, to the many of the authentic materia medicas of our times, mainly the NER repertory. So we have different approaches, the different consultation approaches in repertory, starting from the Bonning-Essens approach, the Boger's approach, which was built up upon the Bonning-Essens approach. Then we had the Kentian approach, and finally we have this synthesis repertory, which is an amalgamation, I'll say, of all the goodness of all these three pillars of the repertory. Now, in the words of Dr. James Tyler Kent, from his books, Lectures on Homeopathic Philosophy, you will become an expert in questioning the patients so far as to bring out the truth. Store up the materia medica so as to use it, and it will flow out as your language flows. You must put yourself on a level with the form of speech your patient uses. Be sure you have not put your words into your patient's mouth or biased his expressions. Now, I firmly believe that the use of repertory also improves our case taking. It helps us frame the questions. The number of the rubrics enlisted under the number of the sub-rubrics enlisted under the rubrics, they will help us to frame the question. They will also improve our case taking. So we need not get biased by the elements of the sub-rubrics, the rubrics, but we need to understand, we need to make it our advantage so that we can use these rubrics for our betterment, for a better case taking, for better understanding of the case and proper analysis of the case. So I'll say this repertorial approach needs precision in which the symptoms are handled. One has to be very careful and alert in our approach to the patient. Routinism has to be avoided to do justice to the case. It is more like playing a chess, the game of chess. One has to be very careful while applying the rubrics from any individual case. Do not try to recall past experiences in individual cases. Every case is a new one, a unique one, which cannot be handled in the same way. The alertness, observations, decisions are the key points for successful repertorization. So, with this approach, we need to understand that we need a repertory for analyzing a case. Practicing without a repertory, especially in cases where the symptoms have been altered through life circumstances and a clear picture is not perceptible, is very difficult and can be confusing. I'll just say again, that repertory will solve this problem and will keep us sailing in this vast ocean of materia medica. So with this, I'll end my presentation, and I'll just, if you have any questions, please you can put up in the chat box, you can mail to me, or you can send me over the WhatsApp. I'll be very happy to answer this. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Amit, for your nice presentations. I think I am audible to all. Jessica ji?
Yes, you are audible, sir.
Yeah. So thank you very much for your nice presentations. Now, as a next speaker, I will request Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Singh ji to upload his presentations now. Are you ready, Dr. Sanjeev?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I think it is uploaded now.
I've done it. I've done already. I'll just start it in 1 second.
Dr. Jessica is uploaded now.
Okay. So, Dr. Sanjeev,
Give me a
let me
minute, sir.
introduce
Just
you.
give me a minute. Dr. Sahani sir's internet issue is there. He left. Sir,
Hello.
please join again. Refresh करके.
Um, uh, please, can you repeat me again?
सर एक बार रिफ्रेश करके ज्वाइन कर लीजिए. सब वीडियो ऑन कर लीजिए एक बारी.
It's okay. Hello, it's okay.
Yes, we are audible. Sir.
हाँ जी sir.
We are audible. Sir.
So now I can start. Jessica ji,
सर आप स्टार्ट करिए तब तक पीपीटी अपलोड हो जाएगी.
hello. Okay, so let me introduce Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Singh ji. It is my pleasure to introduce before you one of the closest disciples who has been introducing me during all my seminars organized by our organizations. Today I feel greatly satisfied in presenting Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Singh before you as a speaker for today's webinar on homeopathic repertory. Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Singh was introduced to me by his close relative to provide training in homeopathy under my guidance. As a young entrant, I observed in him his keen inclinations for learning. His non-formal training under my guidance was supplemented with his academic education in homeopathic college. He completed his BHMS in 2012-2002 and later on upgraded to BHMS in 2005 from Bardhaman University. He completed his MD home from BRA Bihar University and from the GD Memorial Homeopathic Medical College. Dr. Sanjeev Singh also completed his postgraduate diploma in health management from the Symbiosis University in 2008. Dr. Sanjeev began his clinical career with me and with his sincere devotions became the managing director of Research Institute of Sahani Drug Transmission and Homeopathy. His clinical ability with repertory is outstanding as he started from the beginning practicing through the repertory. His clinical service at Kurji Holy Family Hospital are well appreciated by all. Dr. Sanjeev had his initial learning with the transmission of homeopathic drug energy from a distance with us, and today it became his way of clinical practice. He was thus born with the transmission of homeopathic medicines from a distance. Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Singh is also involved in the homeopathic journalism as one of the editor of most popular peer-reviewed journal Homeotarang, published quarterly both in Hindi and English. Dr. Sanjeev had also joined in the teaching professions as a lecturer and later on promoted to associate professor at the GD Memorial Homeopathic Medical College and Hospital, Patna. During the academic career, he served as an examiner in different universities. Dr. Sanjeev's approach to homeopathy is getting recognized with his presentations at various seminars. He also visited Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Nepal as delegate and presented his paper. Dr. Sanjeev is actively engaged in social work network of the professions and served as the General Secretary of the Homeopathic Medical Association of India, Bihar State Branch, and presently as its treasurer. It is most satisfying moment for me to present Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Singh in this webinar. Today, Dr. Sanjeev will be presenting on his understanding of epileptic aura in convulsions through the repertory. So now I ask Dr. Sanjeev to start his presentation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sahani, sir. Dr. Yesika.
You are not visible, Dr. Sanjeev, you are not visible to me.
But now it's visible.
I think it is a problem with my computer. Other place.
Yes, sir.
Please,
Yes,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can start, sir.
Okay.
Hello.
So, respected Dr. Ramji Singh, sir, National President, Homeopathic Medical Association of India, my guru and guardian, as told by Dr. M.K. Sahani. He is my mentor, and whatever I am today, a great role of Dr. Sahani in my life. So, and inaugurator of this webinar, Dr. Frederick Strand, sir, international speaker, Dr. Farooq Master, sir, and as you heard, young and talented speaker, Dr. Amit Sahani. And I would like to thank Mr. Manish Jain and the whole team of Homeopathy 360 for organizing and providing such a wonderful platform, especially in this particular lockdown situation, COVID situations. Thank you so much, Mr. Manish ji. And special thanks to Dr. Yesika. Tirelessly, she is working and organizing and coordinating every day. I think every day she is working. So it's a great role, and what I can say, you're doing a wonderful job, beautiful job, no? So thanks, Dr. Yesika, and thanks to participant. Without your support, it's not possible for any teacher or any speaker, no, to come forward and share their views. Now time is very less, so I'm coming directly to my subject. So many aspects we have seen, especially from Dr. Amit, no. He had given very nice presentation and different type of the repertory. What are the features of the repertory and what are the theme of the repertory? And Dr. Farooq sir very nicely, especially with this COVID-19, with the rubrics and medicine he has presented. And Dr. Frederick sir, I'm thankful to you because you have given a wonderful tool to the homeopathic fraternity and this synthesis and radar software, no. So I'm thankful to all of you. So now I'm coming to the subject. My subject is understanding epileptic aura in convulsion through repertory. It's a very small presentation, and the thing is that I will present two cases, very small case. The purpose is not to present the case. The purpose is how to come to the solution. This is the main theme of my presentation over here. So just I'm going to start. So first, aura. When you will go to the literal meaning of the aura, you will find variety of the meaning is there of the aura. But we have to see in the field of medical science. Medical science, the meaning of aura is that the distinctive sensation or virtual disturbance that may signal the beginning of an epileptic episode. So it's a type of sensation, and it's a visual disturbance. The sensation you can visualize, the sensation you can feel, especially before getting the attack. This is very important, a sensation. Sensation. Now the sensation has a great role in homeopathy. One of the most important component of completing the symptoms is sensation. Yes, so many doctors, and especially when we are talking about the sensation, we cannot forget the name of Dr. Rajan Sankaran. He used to talk about the sensation, and whatever we are talking about the disease, telling about the pain, different type of the pain, it's all because of the sensation. If we are talking about the tearing pain, it's a sensation. If we are talking about the bursting pain, it's a sensation. So everything, the outwardly reflections, we can say in other words that outwardly reflection of deranged vital force can be observed through sensation as symptoms. Yes, if we are talking about that the derangement of the vital force is the diseased condition, and what are the manifestation of that? That is because of the sensation only. So we cannot ignore this type of the things, the sensation. There are three things. Now coming to the point, now coming to the epileptic aura, which I'm going to discuss over here. Three things is very important in treatment of convulsion. Three things. The first one is the before, second one is the during, and third one is the after. Before, during, and after. This is very important, especially for the treatment of convulsion. Rather, I would like to say this is not only important for the treatment of convulsion, for all sorts of diseases. Yes, convulsion, it is very, very important, but other diseases also, you may think like this. If you are going to treat a fever, a case of fever, if you are going to treat a case of diarrhea, you can think this way. The case taking, during the case taking, during the taking the details of the patients, you may go with these steps and you will find a very, very important and very authentic medicine and rubrics also. So before, it simply means that the past. Two type of the past is there. The first one is the immediate past and second one is the remote past. So if someone is getting fever or headache, something like that, so what happened just after getting this fever? This is very important. So immediate past. So before the attack, before the fever, before the diarrhea, these are the things which is very, very important. And I have already verified, I can say verified clinically. That's why I'm here. I'm presenting this case and the presentation. Another one is the during the presenting symptoms. This is also very important. The manifestation, what happened, what is happening during the attack, during the fever. And we used to ask what is the the clinical feature of your fever, of your diarrhea, and whatever the problem is there. And after effects, when all the things gone back, the fever is gone back, the diarrhea is normal. So after the diarrhea, what you feel, after the fever, what you feel, after the convulsion, what you feel. So these three things, 3 steps is very, very important. For example, rectum, diarrhea, fever before. Diarrhea, fever before. First, fever will come and then diarrhea. There is rubrics in rectum. And you can see the medicine, Antim crude, China, Sina, Pulsatilla, Rustus. Very good medicines are there. Then another one is the diarrhea, fever after. Only one medicine is there, phosphorus. Hahnemann has told about that. Diarrhea, fever after. Just opposite to that, fever, diarrhea after. I have clinically verified and I have told so many times to my students also that this particular rubrics works tremendously. Fever, diarrhea after. Here I have presenting about the diarrhea, fever after, but you may also go for that, the fever, diarrhea after. First diarrhea comes and then the fever. So this type of the things you will find so many places in our repertoire, before, during and after. Fever, anger after. You were quite okay. And all of a sudden you got the fever. Why? Because you had some discords, you had some problem and you got angry. And after that anger, you got the fever. There is very good medicine like the Aconite, Brania, Chamomilla. So many medicines are there, even the sepia and Staphysageria. So many information is there. So we should go not only for the convulsion, but convulsion. I'm going to present a few case like respiration difficult, cough during aggravate. Respiration, when your respiration is difficult, during the cough. So just I was talking about before, during and after. So during the cough, respiration is going to be difficult. So this type of the information you will find, and especially in synthesis repertoire. That's why I told I'm very, very much thankful to Dr. Frederick Swans. He has compiled in such a way, that and all the information you will find from the Boger, Bonningerson, from the Kane, from the Hahnemann, and so many sources, authentic sources. He has compiled all this information. Mostly we ask to the patient what happens during the attack of the convulsion. Mostly we ask during the convulsion. This is very common. We used to ask to the patient, what happened? Because patient is coming to us for the treatment of convulsion and we say, what happened? There are many rubrics related to these situations. And the very common situation you will find over here, I have mentioned over here, extremity, stiffness, convulsion during. This is very common things, getting tightened, all the hands, feet, everything getting tightened. So extremity, stiffness, convulsion during. Mouth froth from the mouth, convulsion during. These are also very common things. Froth coming from the mouth during the convulsion. Grinding teeth, convulsive. Grinding teeth. Eye turned upward, convulsion during, etc. And so many rubrics related with this type of the situations, related with the during, you will find in our repertoire. Similarly, after the convulsion, mind stupefaction, convulsion after. When the convulsion went back, you will find the patient is quite stupefied, no reaction, no answer, nothing. If you are asking anything, No answer for that. Simply he's looking steadily. So stupefaction, that is called stupefaction, convulsion after. Head pain, convulsion after epilepsy. Sleepiness, convulsion after. I have seen so many patients and they sleep for a day, for many hours. So sleepiness, convulsion after, and then the weakness, convulsion after. These are very, very common symptoms you will find, common rubrics you will find our repertory. But now we are going to talk about the before, which is very important. There are several rubrics related with this situation, but we are going to discuss the first one, that is the before. This is very important. And as I told you, the sensation. This is related with our sensation. So the epileptic aura, it has great role in the treatment of convulsion. Again, I'm coming to the epileptic aura, a distinctive sensation or visual disturbance that may signal the beginning of an epileptic episodes. Sensation before the attack. In other words, I can say it's just like lull before a storm, a sensation before the storm, a lull before storm, sensation before attack, convulsive attack. So a sensation before convulsive attack, variety of sensation is there listed in our repertory. So many information is there. I will go through that also. So case, a very small presentation, a very small case presentation is there. A 12 years old boy named Rayyan Hussain, name has been changed, came to me on 15 February 2018 for the treatment of convulsion. Convulsion started in 2014 after seeing a burning house. A stiffness of extremities during the convulsion, as I discussed about this. Then before attack, headache started. Just I was talking about the sensation, no? So I used to ask to my patients, whenever I see the case of convulsion, I used to ask. So I asked about before the attack, what you feel, what you have any type of the sensation. No? So he said, before the attack, I started headache and I feel that now the attack will come. And whenever he gets frightened, attack appears. Past history, nothing significant, no abnormalities. Family history, nothing significant. Now the mental symptoms. On the basis of that, I took some mental symptoms. Fear of fire, ailments from fright, tidy, white color desire was there, which I used to ask to the patient about the color also. Then the general symptoms, food and drinks, meat desire. Rest of the things was very normal. From head to foot, I examined, I cross-checked and asked the questions, but everything was quite normal. Nothing significant was there. Food and drinks, meat desire, and rest thing was quite normal. On the basis of that, I reporterized the case through this synthesis repertory with the help of radar software. And you will just see elements from fright. The first rubrics I took from the mind chapter, elements from fright, then the color white desire, mind fear fire, then tidy, extremities stiffness convulsion during, general convulsion epileptic aura headache, and convulsion fright aggravate, food and drinks meat desire. Now you can see Ginkgum metallicum is the first medicine covering 6 symptoms out of 8 symptoms, and point is 8. Another medicines also you will see over here, cuprum, silicea, vanilla, causticum, other medicines are there, no? So Ginkgum metallicum, on the basis of all the presentation, I decided that Ginkgum metallicum is the medicine for this particular patient. So we started treatment on 15th February 2018. Ginkgum metallicum 0/1 transmitted through here, as Dr. Sahani told me that I practice through this drug transmission method through here. So I transmitted the Ginkgum metallicum 0/1 through hair of the patient with no complaints. In January 2019, treatment stopped. In between, we gave a stroke to the medicine and there was no attack. Finally got cured. This is very small follow-up because the purpose is not to show the case. The purpose, how I reach to the solution, how I reach to the remedy. This is the purpose. That's why. So Ginkgum metallicum. Now the thing is that you just see without that particular rubrics which I am talking about, the epileptic aura, you just go through that. So I removed that particular rubrics from the chart, and now you see the cuprum metallicum, silicea, vanilla, and Ginkgum come on 4th position. Ginkgum come on 4th position. As soon as we add this particular rubrics now, you just see the 8th one, convulsion, epileptic aura, headache. Ginkgum become the choice of the remedy, and it worked tremendously. It cured the case. It cured the case. So similarly, another case, I'm going to tell you, a 18 years boy, Anis Anand, came on 13th February 2018 for the treatment of convulsion. 2 years ago, he got frightened after a fight from his friends. Since then, convulsion started. During the attack, he feels giddy and like falling for few seconds only. Before the attack, he feels that something crawling on his face, and then attack comes. Just see, before, again I asked about the before, and what he said, crawling sensation, crawling, something crawling on his face, and then attacks comes, aggravation from excitement. Past history, nothing was there. The family history, grandfather died of cancer. The mental symptoms, reading aversion, speech hasty, clairvoyance, biting nails, ailments from discords, anger beside oneself being. Some physical symptoms also was there. Mouth, speech stammering, sleep position, abdomen on, convulsion from excitement, crawling on face before convulsion, and food and drinks, chicken desire. So altogether, I took all these rubrics. Altogether, 11 rubrics I took. First one is the ailments from discords, friends between ones, anger besides oneself being, biting nails, clairvoyance, reading aversion to, speech hasty, and another one is the speech stammering. When you will have to go to the stammering, you will have to go to the mouth, and hasty you will find in the mind. So speech stammering from the mouth, speech hasty from the mind. Sleep position, abdomen on, and then general convulsion, epileptic aura, face formication on, face formication in. There is only one medicine. Convulsion, excitement aggravate, and food and drinks, chicken desire. So altogether, Nux vomica covered 9 out of 11, and it became the choice of remedy. Why? Because again I am telling you, the convulsion, epileptic aura, face formication in. And very nicely, one sentence stated by Dr. Farooq sir, just before Amit lecture, no, that the common medicine presented in uncommon way. So this is very common medicine, Nux vomica, but presented in an uncommon way, I can say. This epileptic aura, no, epileptic aura. So I started again this Nux vomica on the basis of totality. 0/1 transmitted through hair of the patient. On 13th February 2018, he reported regularly with marked improvement. In between, we gave a stroke to the medicine accordingly. And finally, we stopped the treatment on 4th March 2019. But again, he reported back on 4th November 2019 that there is slight giddiness felt. Then I transmitted Nux vomica 0/3. Since then, there is no attack till date. Because the patient is one of doctor's brother. So he is very close to us. So still the treatment is going on, but there is no complaints. Now you can see the chart. As soon as you remove the epileptic aura, Nux vomica is still there, but pulsatilla is also there. So now it becomes very easy for me, easy for you that when you put this type of the rubrics and medicines comes very prominently. So, and what I told, these are the things which is very important and entry point. We can say the entry point into the patient. So this epileptic aura, the sensation. Now the conclusion, symptoms during the convulsion and after the convulsion is the manifestation of happening. Yes, of course. During the sensation and after the convulsion, this is manifestation of the happening. But when we talk about the before convulsion, it's the origin of the happening. It's an entry point. It's an entry point. So we must go for such type of the information. Manifestation it's very easy to observe. Manifestation even after or during, it's very easy to observe. But before the manifestation, the sensation which comes under the sensation, it's very, very important. In other problem also, we should go through this procedure, but in convulsion, it is mandatory. I would like to say it's a mandatory. We should definitely go, because I have learned and I have seen in so many cases, just Dr. Sahani told, no, I am working with Holy Family Hospital, and yesterday, Friday, I used to go there. Yesterday, I got a very new information regarding this convulsion. One 16 years old girl, came for the treatment of convulsion, and fortunately she got attacked in front of me, and I got a very good rubrics. I had no idea about that, that particular rubrics before that. So yesterday I got the presentation. Variety of presentation was there, but one very peculiar presentation I got, winking the eye. I was winking very frequently, very fastly, closing and opening. So winking, we have the rubrics in eye chapter. When you will go to the eye, winking eye during the convulsion, and there is only one medicine, calibicrome. I reporterized the case, but I have not given the calibicrome, as it has been told by so many our stalwarts that on the basis of single symptomatology you cannot decide the medicine. But I got a good information. So variety of information is there in our repertory, and we should go for that. So it's a very authentic symptoms. You can realize it's a just like dying person cannot say lie. The sensation, no, before the attack is coming, it's a very, very pure symptoms. You can say it's a very pure symptoms. Person cannot say lie regarding this type of the feelings, this type of the things. So you can rely on that. And this is the repertorial references. You can go to the general chapter, epileptic aura, and then you will find abdomen absent. Yes, one very important rubrics is also there. I'm talking about the aura, but sometimes you will find there is no aura. For that also we have the rubrics, aura absent. There is 6 medicine included in our repertory. So if you are not finding the aura, then also you can prescribe the medicine on the basis of that, aura absent. And aura, variety of aura from A to Z, you will find so many information related with the aura. So yeah, convulsion, epileptic aura, abdomen, head 2, flushes, arms in, left arm in, forearm in, back in. So variety of rubrics is there. So the main, the theme of this presentation is that the basically whenever I get the opportunity to say about the repertory, I try to find out the different aspect of the repertory, and different the way to reach to the particular medicine, to the solution. So before this presentation, I had one presentation without conversation, how to take the history, how to get the history, and lot of information we have in our repertory. For example, that hair grows between eyebrows, frowning on the head. So our repertory is full of information. And special thanks again I'm giving to Dr. Frederick Swans, his work and his team. Tremendous job he has given, and giving vast information. And if you want to have a good teacher, if you want to learn homeopathy, you just keep a repertory software with you, so that you can learn yourself, you can explore homeopathy, and you can get a good result. So thank you very much once again to all the presenter today, especially Dr. Frederick Swans, Dr. Farooq sir, and Dr. Amit Sahni. And my special thanks to Dr. M.K. Sahni sir, who has been always been very kind and guide to me whenever I feel any problem. I used to ask him, and he always, anytime, he is ready to guide me. And of course, again, I would like to thank Mr. Manish Jain and Dr. Yasika Arora for providing such a wonderful platform, especially in this particular tough situation. We all are facing the tough situation, but I think homeopathy is growing very well because of all these things, the webinar and Globina. So thank you so much for all the all the participants having patience here. Thank you so much.
Sanjeev, you are able to listen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You are getting my voice?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So thank you, Dr. Sanjeev, for your very nice and wonderful presentation. Definitely, you all are, especially you and Dr. Samit, are going to repertorial approaches, and you are providing and spreading the messages of the repertory everywhere. So wonderful contribution to you. I request Dr. Yasika ji, you have been so much busy. Time you don't express your busyness. You are always ready. So for the audience side, if the questions are there, it may kindly be presented so that it can be replied. Dr. Yasika ji. Dr. Yasika ji, are you in the room?
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not able to. I'm audible.
Sir, you are audible. Hanji, you are audible. You are clearly visible also. We can discuss the queries. I think till now the queries are not posted in the chat box. What I can see.
Yeah, that I see.
I asked.
That I have seen.
Yes, sir. So we can wait a second for people to ask questions.
Yeah. We can wait.
We have, I think, Dr. Frederick sir also with us till now. He has taken out his precious time for being with us today for the whole afternoon, I think. So I request the audience to please put up your queries in the chat box. We can discuss them. Sir, I think we have no queries from the audience. Yes, sir, there is a query. Can you please answer? I think this is for Dr. Amit Sahni sir or Dr. M.K. Sahni sir. What do you mean by giving the remedy through hair of the patient?
What do you mean by?
Giving the remedy through hair of the patient.
Yes, Yasika ji, can you repeat the question?
What do you mean by giving the remedy through hair of the patient? Hair transmission, sir.
See, this is your, yeah, here. See, in since then it was discovered, and earlier and the normal route of administrations are putting through the mouth, applying on the body or all fractions. These were the conventional methods of the administration of homeopathic medicine. When we experience the dynamic nature of the homeopathic medicines, we don't feel that the homeopathic medicines are the substance that should be taken through or made direct contact. So these medicines can be transmitted from a distance also. This theory was postulated and hypothesis was given by Dr. B. Sahni, who experimented it and confirmed, and he started using, and the rest of his life he was transmitting the medicine. We also, being close associated, Dr. Amit, Dr. Sanjeev, and many more. And everywhere in the world you will find there are a lot of practitioners who are using this mode of transmitting. It is very simple. It is only the mode of administration that you select. You have to select the medicines first, and that medicine to bring in contact with the patient, you have to simply take one hair from the head of the patient and insert that hair into the medicine, and that the medicines start working. It is just like transmitting that medicine's energy through the hair of the patient. Hair acts as a medium, a representative of the persons. So, and they receive the medicines and it is transmitted. And this is possible, and it can be demonstrable, and you reviewed in a very important critical review journal of the world, and it was published. This article is also recently published there. So now it is being well accepted, and I feel that there are no doubts. Only that you have to learn and start practicing with it. I think that like Dr. Amit, they have presented, and in their presentations this word came because they started their practice along with this system only. This was their basic mode of learning, and there are many such type of the students who started their practicing without giving oral. They don't know how to give the medicines orally. They simply because they learned, they started right at the beginning. But those who are newcomer and others, they are also experimenting and well accepted. So it is gradually. Practitioners are Lucknow, Goswami, Dr. Ravi Singh, Dr. Aswani. Everywhere you can see this type of the practitioners who are using the hair to transmit their medicines. Not Dr. O.P. Singh. Numbers are very large number of the practitioners are like that. I can say. Okay.
Sir, there are more queries. I think Dr. Sahni sir left again. So, can you answer? There is a question. Is there any record of any literature? Oh, there is another question. Applying stroke during follow-up treatment. Kindly explain. Sir, your audio is off.
Yeah, now it's okay now.
Yes.
Yeah, I have mentioned this particular word, no, stroke during the follow-up. Yes, when we insert the hair into the medicine, no, into the 5 ml vial, and then tightened with the cork and inserting the hair inside, then we give 10 stroke like this. This is called the stroke. So this is whenever we feel that the medicine will be the same and we should increase the potency little bit. So we give a stroke, and patient is complaining to us, reporting to us, and accordingly we give the stroke. So this is called the stroke during the treatment of the disease with this particular method. So simply giving a stroke like this and 10 stroke. One stroke means 10 stroke. One time we are giving. So this is called a stroke.
Yeah. My network is not so stable, so I'm getting problem. It is getting disconnected.
Few more question is there related with transmission. I think Dr. Sahni sir is over here, no? So he will explain.
Can you tell me the question?
Yeah, sir.
Yeah.
I'll just
Yeah,
say.
Dr. Jessica. Yeah, go. Yeah.
Is there any record of in any of our literature to administer a remedy of through hairs? Is it a Hahnemannian method or a new sublime of homeopathy?
That you want the literature? There is a book published by Dr. B. Sahni. It is published by B. Jain Publishers. Transmission of Homeopathic Drug Energy from a Distance, a New Discovery. It underwent into 3 editions, and it is also translated into Hindi and other languages also. The book is already published, available with you. And besides this, we are having a journal, the Homeotarang. It was established some 25 years back, and it is being published. There also is, so many articles are there in the literature.
Thank you
another
so
question
much,
is
sir. Can you please explain it scientifically? Dr. Sneha wants to know.
Yeah, we can just explain scientifically because hypothetical, because explaining homeopathy scientifically are only the subject matter of hypothetical explanations. In homeopathy also we are using the hypothetical explanation, and for this drug transmission also we use the hypothetical explanation. What you think about the beyond 12 potency, not a single molecule of medicines is present in the medicines. Then what is there? It has been tried to establish whether they are nanoparticles, whether they are this or that. So many theories or hypotheses are there. But we experience in our lifetime and during our working. So there is no doubt that the homeopathic medicines where there is not a molecule, so it is a non-molecular base of the medicines. You can say the medicines without molecules or medicines without beyond the molecules. So the first question is the things, what is there then? It is just a energy. We assume, this is assumptions that homeopathic medicines are like energy. Now, the substance to be taken by the mouth. Energy, when you go into the property of the energy, it has got this property includes the remote sensing property. All energy has got the remote sensing property, and when energy comes in contact with some of the relevant objects, like in our system, the hair, it have a sympathetic vibration and it gets transferred to the patient, just like that of the other type of the energy. Now, we all are the individuals, and no two persons are alike, different. Every people are different, and so our vibrations, my vibrations, will not be matched with any of the universe. So we all represent single one type of the electromagnetic.
I think there is some connectivity issue with sir. I
yes.
just request Dr. Sanjeev, I just type sir's email ID in the chat box so that people can contact him and ask their queries. You can contact
email
sir
ID.
on his email ID. I've put in the chat box.
Yeah, that's good.
So I think there are no more queries. Let him join. So we can. I think he's trying to join again. So as soon as he joins, sir, refresh the page once. Please give us a second. He'll just join us and then we'll just wind up the session. For certificates, tomorrow the certificates would be mailed. So no need to worry or mail for certificates. We'll be providing you the certificates after this 2-day webinar ends. Can you answer some question? There is a question from Dr. Bob. Why can't we apply remedy on the hair and see if it works the same?
Why can't we apply remedy on the hair and see it works the same? No, we don't apply remedy on the hair, through the hair. Just try to understand, no, through the hair. We pluck the hair from the head and then we insert it into the medicine, diluted medicine. And then the energy, medicine energy transmitted to the patient, received by the patient through the body, through the electromagnetic waves. So this is the way of treatment, no? And this is totally controlled method, I can say, controlled by the doctors. So we are finding very easy for the doctors, no, and very convenient for the patient also. From the far away patients, like we are here in Patna in India, no, and patients we are treating from here in USA, Qatar, UK, so many places, different distant places. So it's a very controlled system of medicines, and you can say this is the advanced application of homeopathic energy medicine, which have been provoked by even Dr. Hahnemann, that through the olfaction, through the tacture. So we can think like this, no? So we are not giving medicine on the hair. Through the hair, we are transmitting the medicinal energy.
Thank you, sir. I think sir has joined us.
Yeah.
So we can conclude the session
My
with these
network
words.
session is very bad.
Okay, sir, I understand. I think doubts are being cleared, and I have posted your email ID in the chat box.
One another
Yes,
question.
People
So
can
many questions are there related with this transmission.
air
No?
transmission. I think we can organize a session on this.
Yes,
And
Doctor. Dr. Jessica, you organize a
we'll
session of
organize
Dr. Sahani on this particular subject. It will be better.
We are planning, and I have already talked to Dr. Manish, Mr. Manish. He is ready now, and I think in October we are going to have a seminar during the anniversary of Dr. B. Sahani. So I think already we have started planning for that. It will be a seminar. I think all the questions will be answered in that session. Now, thank you, Dr. Jessica ji. You are such a nice, gentle, such a mild. I can't express how you are managing so many things together. You are just a wonderful person.
Thank you so much.
It is the best gift for homeopathy. Dr. Jessica is the best gift for homeopathy.
Thank you so much, sir.
Dr. Mr. Manish, every time ready to listen to me. Many a time I feel that whether I am bothering them, whether I am disturbing them, but they never have any type of the irritations in their face. So I think homeopathic future are very good and bright with Jessica ji, Mr. Manish, Dr. Sanjeev, Dr. Amit, and so many new generations are coming. Now I only, as a elder person, as a senior homeopath, I only feel what should be the future of homeopathy. This is my concern at this age and at this moment. Whether the homeopathy is going to survive in its most classical way as it was dreamed by Dr. Hahnemann. This is an important question. And one thing, when you follow the basic principle which was conceived by Dr. Hahnemann, then only the homeopathy is going to survive. Such a vast literature, such a dimensions are there. And one who have got the perseverance and the patience to listen and to read, he only wins. I have understood this life. I have come to this age, and so many contradictions I have faced, but I try to survive. No, I have learned transmitting medicines from a distance, right from my birth, because I was born in a family where no medicines were given. So just imagine, and for me, it is difficult to say how to give the medicines orally. When people ask me, sir, kaise khana hai? I find very suffocations here to reply them kaise khana hai. So, and because of this only, I am recognized like that. So, friends, and especially for the younger generations, your perseverance and patience will only put you on the top. Nobody comes like a great man. Everyone who are born as a small baby. Hahnemann has said, man was born as a most without mind, and they can go to the infinity. The medicines, read the medicines of experience and again and again, and get inspired with his theme of learning. So with these words, I thank you all for participating this in wonderful webinar. I am very much thankful to our to come and ask. He is very ready to. And like same way, Dr. Farooq Master is also the same way. He is like my younger.
Sir, please refresh once. He joined again.
So with this, we conclude the session.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind and motivating words. Thank you so much for greeting us always and motivating us as an inspiration, I would say. Because you are actually one of the inspirations which people follow, which we youngsters, we young becoming homeopaths follow, that we want to become one day. So thank you so much for your kind words and such an informative session it was. I want to update everybody that tomorrow again we are coming up with new speakers at 2 p.m. sharp. Dr. S.K. Tiwari sir will be joining us, and Dr. Sanjay Pandey sir and Dr. Jitendra Kumar sir from NIH will be joining us. So I think you people will be joining us tomorrow again for the session, and the webinar certificate would be provided to you tomorrow after the session. You will be receiving the mail. So thank you everybody. Sir, can we conclude and end the session for today? Sahani sir?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Sir.
Thank you for this. Now you can conclude. We'll meet again tomorrow.
Sure, sir. For the time being, I just want to request audience to please visit our website at www.homeopathy360.com for any queries and updates. Thank you so much. If you want to contact Sahani sir, Dr. Durgesh, you can contact him on his email ID risdth@gmail.com. I've typed in the chat box. I'll type for you again. You can contact him on his email. Thank you so much, everybody. We had a great session. See you all tomorrow.